Hello there, everybody. Hope you're doing all right, and welcome to reading lesson 12 of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Things are starting to look up for the foxes, if you didn't already know. They managed to break into Boggis's chicken house number 1, and Mr. Fox grabbed 3 large chickens and sent them back to Mrs. Fox. So, Mr. Fox has a new plan. He says they had to go a little bit along the way and then a little bit downwards. Wonder where they're going to end up. Sit back, relax. This is quite a long chapter. Okay, so get comfy. Here we go. Mr. Fox and the 3 remaining small foxes dug fast and straight. They were all too excited now to feel tired or hungry. They knew they were going to have a whacking great feast before long, and the fact that it was none other than Boggis's chickens they were going to eat made them chortle with laughter every time they thought of it. It was lovely to realise that while the fat farmer was sitting up there on the hill waiting for them to starve, he was also giving them dinner without knowing it. "Keep digging," said Mr. Fox. "It's not much further." All of a sudden, a deep voice above their heads said, "Who goes there?" The foxes jumped. They looked up quickly and they saw, peeking through a small hole in the roof of the tunnel, a long, black, pointed, furry face. "Badger!" cried Mr. Fox. "Foxy!" cried Badger. "My goodness me, I'm glad I found someone at last. I've been digging around in circles for 3 days and nights, and I haven't the foggiest idea where I am." Badger made the hole in the ceiling bigger and dropped down beside the foxes. A small badger, his son, dropped down after him. "Haven't you heard what's happening on the hill?" Badger said excitedly. "It's chaos. Half the wood has disappeared, and there are men with guns all over the countryside. None of us can get out, even at night. We're all starving to death." "Who is we?" asked Mr. Fox. "All us diggers. That's me, and Mole, and Rabbit, and all our wives and children. Even Weasel, who can usually sneak out of the tightest spots, is right now hiding down my hole with Mrs. Weasel and 6 kids. What on earth are we going to do, Foxy? I think we're finished." Mr. Fox looked at his 3 children and he smiled. The children smiled back at him, sharing his secret. "My dear old Badger," he said, "the mess you're in is all my fault." "I know it's your fault," said Badger furiously, "and the farmers are not going to give up till they've got you. Unfortunately, that means us as well. It means everyone on the hill." Badger sat down and put a paw around his small son. "We're done for," he said softly. "My poor wife up there, she's so weak, she can't dig another yard." There we are again, another wife, weak. "Nor can mine," said Mr. Fox. "And yet, at this very minute, she is preparing for me and my children the most delicious feast of plump, juicy chickens." "Stop!" cried Badger. "Don't tease me. I can't stand it." "It's true," cried the small foxes. "That's not teasing. We've got chickens galore." "And because everything is entirely my fault," said Mr. Fox, "I invite you to share the feast. I invite everyone to share it. You and Mole and Rabbit and Weasel and all your wives and children. There'll be plenty to go round, I can assure you." "You mean it?" cried Badger. You really mean it?" Mr. Fox pushed his face close to Badger's and whispered darkly, "Do you know where we've just been?" "Where?" "Right inside Boggis's chicken house number 1. "No." "Yes, but that is nothing to where we are going now. You have to come just at the right moment, my dear Badger. You can help us dig. And in the meanwhile, your small son can run back to Mrs. Badger and all the others and spread the good news." Mr. Fox turned to the small badger and said, "Tell them they're invited to a fox's feast. Then bring them all down here and follow the tunnel back until you find my home." "Yes, Mr. Fox," said the small badger. "Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Oh, thank you, sir." And he scrambled quickly back through the hole in the roof of the tunnel and disappeared. There we go. That's the end of chapter 12. So we've got a new animal. Badger has entered into the story with a small badger as well, we shouldn't forget. Now, There's some pictures there from the original book I posted of Badger bumping into Mr. Fox in the tunnel there, and you can see little Badger as well with him. Now, we can look at Badger and say, right, okay, he's got a long face. In the book, he's wearing a tie and a waistcoat as well, quite to do in that. But we can't, Roald Dahl doesn't really tell us much about Badger's character. Doesn't say whether he was grumpy, whether he was a positive person, whether he was funny. None of that comes into it. But you might already have an idea of the sort of personality that Badger has, the sort of character he is. Is he a nice person? Is he a bad person? Is he a villain? Is he a goodie? Is he funny? Is he supportive? You might already have an idea just from listening to that chapter of the sort of person Badger is. And if you do, it means that you have been inferring. That's a new word today, infer. When you infer something, it means you read between the lines to find information. So, for example, if I was reading a story about, I don't know, a pirate who had jumped into the sea, and it said, furiously, the pirate swam as quick as he could away from the shark. How do you think the pirate was feeling? Scared? Terrified? Frightened? Well, I didn't say any of those words, did I? Didn't say any of those words there, but you inferred it because you used what you know about people and about the world outside. You read between the lines, desperately, as quick as he can, away from the shark. All those together, and the shark as well, all those together, someone's frightened, someone's scared. So we can do the same thing with Badger, and that's what we're going to do today. Our learning intention is to use inference. That's like a longer version of it, infer. Use inference to describe a character. And the task is to create a character profile of Badger and justify your opinions. Now, a character profile we've done before, it's when we usually drew the character and then we would label and say kind of what they were wearing, what they looked like, things like that. This time we're going to take it a step further. I don't want you to tell me what Badger looks like. I want you to tell me the sort of person that you think he is. So for success criteria for doing this, we need a quick sketch of Badger. Doesn't need to be a work of art. I don't need to hang it in the Louvre, okay? You don't need to either. A quick sketch, 5 minutes of Badger. Then I'd like you underneath, or maybe you could just do it around about him if you want poster style, list 3 characteristics you think he has. So you'll need to infer, is he tired? Is he grumpy? Is he curious? Is he scared? Is he nervous? Is he brave? Is he a leader? Is he organized? Is he well connected? Is he friendly? All these things, it could be any of them. What do you think they are? And once you've listed 3 of them, roundabout or maybe underneath, you need to justify your opinion. So, for example, I think Badger is brave because, or I think Badger is friendly because he knows all the animals underneath the ground. Rabbit, weasel, whatever it might be. So that's your task. Using inference to describe a character, create a profile of Badger, and we need a quick sketch, 3 characteristics you think he has, and justify your opinion too. Good luck with that task. Can't wait to see what you come up with, and I'll see you again for chapter 13.